WWE FastLane 2021 match card and predictions for you now here on SCW on YouTube.com. Thank you for choosing the channel and choosing the video. Please subscribe right now, leave any comments in the comment section please, and like and share the video as well. It's no surprise to anybody that FastLane is probably not a pay-per-view that's very much needed on the WWE calendar, but for this year it's a special pay-per-view and will always be remembered as the first pay-per-view on Peacock for American viewers and listeners of this channel. So WWE have kind of prepared this kind of late. The last time I talked about FastLane there was 2 matches for the show. Now we do have 6 matches, so we have more of a card put together, and despite the fact the card being perhaps unnecessary, I do say that I think it's going to be a mixed bag of a show, and I do think it's going to be quite newsworthy as we get through to the other side. So without further ado, let's get straight into the matches and straight into the predictions. And first off, let's talk about the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships. Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler defending those belts against the SmackDown Women's Champion Sasha Banks, and of course her WrestleMania opponent Bianca Belair, which of course is a rematch from the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. And let's be fair, last time this was booked it was a bit of a mess, and this time I think WWE have 2 options and more likely will do what they should have done at the last pay-per-view. Now what I think they should have done at the last pay-per-view is Sasha Banks turning on Bianca Belair during the match, in full-fledged turning heel in the process, and perhaps Reginald will be by her side, becoming the new, sommelier, manager, whatever you want for Sasha Banks. Perhaps, leaving Nia Jax as well, perhaps disappointed in the sunset, but she will at least keep her tag team championships. The other idea that WWE could do will be the first time since WrestleMania 23 where Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair win those tag team championships and then go on to be opponents at WrestleMania. But since the fact we've seen it and it's been done before, and I do feel that double champions don't quite work for me, I'm really in favour of Nia and Shayna retaining here, going on to something different, and we can focus solely, without any tag team mess, just a singles match between Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair at WrestleMania. Am I a fan of Reginald getting involved in this? No, I'm not, but you know what? I feel it's the direction that makes most sense at this point through the booking we've had on SmackDown since the Royal Rumble. So I want Reginald to align with Sasha Banks at this show, but for sure, I believe Sasha Banks will turn on Bianca Belair, full-fledged heel turn, and we do see Nia and Shayna retaining those belts. Next, let's talk about the Intercontinental Championship, with Big E defending against Apollo Crews. Now, I'm really digging this feud. I think this feud has been very well put together. I love the change of Apollo Crews. I love the fact he's got more aggression, he's got personality. I was surprised about the accent change, but look, Apollo has got a fresh gimmick, ladies and gentlemen. This is something Apollo has needed for years, and I really like the idea of it being based on money, wealth, power, even greed, and I want to see that thrown into this. I love the fact that Apollo has just snapped in recent weeks on SmackDown, used the steel steps to not only take out people, but put Big E, the Intercontinental Champion, in hospital. That is to show that he is not going to be spending any more time in catering, and I truly do believe that. Big E has been a superb Intercontinental Champion since the end of last year, but I think it's time for a change of guard. I think Apollo will become your new Intercontinental Champion to go along with the new gimmick, and I want to see that continue going forward from Apollo. I think it's been a good change so far. I don't really need to see the military involved with him, and to be honest, I don't think he needs a spear either. I know Drew McIntyre has a sword when he comes to the ring, but this isn't DC and Marvel. I think WWE superstars don't need to have weapons all the time like this. I don't think that that's necessary, in my personal opinion. But I think Apollo will win here. I think this will take these both onto WrestleMania, perhaps in some sort of a multi-man match for the Intercontinental Championship. Let's not forget Sami Zayn and King Corbin have been in and around the mix with the IC title, as well as Shinsuke Nakamura. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's a mix of 5, 6, even 7 superstars in the multi-man match at WrestleMania, perhaps even a ladder match. We'll have to wait and see. Next is perhaps the most surprising match on the card, Alexa Bliss against Randy Orton. We've got an intergender match here for this pay-per-view, which, let's be fair, this rivalry has been based off 80% video packages. Let's be fair, it's always been video package after video package, then with the next little bit of narrative of the story. Let's be honest with ourselves here, Randy Orton has been coughing up and throwing up like black sort of solution, blood, whatever you want to call it. It's been a bit Papa Shango-esque over the last few weeks, and it's got to the point where we really do miss The Fiend. The Fiend needs to come back. It's been great, kudos to WWE, that The Fiend has been kept off TV for so long after TLC. I think many would have said after he was set on fire, he would have been back within a couple of weeks, because that's typical WWE way in 2020 and 2021. But they've actually kept him off TV, so credit to them for that. But now it's time for the return, and I think this is more angle rather than match. I'm not predicting a winner, I'm predicting a no contest. Let's say Randy Orton, he's going to be that guy, let's be fair. An RKO, maybe he's going to go for the punk kick. At one of those two moments, the lights are going to go out and The Fiend is going to return. I just hope that The Fiend returns darker, more evil, and perhaps more powerful than we've ever seen before, because The Fiend just needs something, a bit of a change up to this gimmick. It was getting a bit stale before he left. Now he's going to come back. It's going to be refreshing to see him back on TV, and I want to see a real possessed darker side, if that's possible, of The Fiend, to then take Randy Orton on at WrestleMania. I think that this would be a good direction. And one that's probably not such a good direction is Braun Strowman versus Shane McMahon. Now, this match has been put on FastLane. Some are probably surprised it's here rather than WrestleMania. I was certainly one of them. I was even surprised this match actually took place on Raw this past week, which felt like the Nickelodeon Awards. Let's not be fair here. Maybe, we spoke about Marvel earlier, maybe Braun Strowman's going to turn into the Hulk. Who knows? He was throwing loads of green slime over him as the ending part of this feud so far. But for me, it's been a bit stupid. Let's just leave it at that. I don't know if I've enjoyed this feud up to now, but what I will say, minor point I did enjoy was Shane McMahon with the hopscotch on Raw. I thought that was kind of entertaining. Saying the idea that maybe Braun could learn to count. I thought that one line, I'll give him that. That was quite amusing. But to give a prediction into the pay-per-view anyway, I don't think we're getting a conclusive finish here. It's the second match I'm going to turn around and say either a no contest or more than likely on this one, I'm going for a Braun Strowman victory via disqualification. Now, I do hope someone's going to have Shane McMahon's back. I think that would be great to see. I've suggested in a previous video, I'd love to see Raw Underground brought into this and not actually a match. God, no, we can't have that. But maybe someone like Dabba-Kato, who was supposed to be a rising star in Shane McMahon's project. I think that would be great to see if someone like him was to come and take out Braun Strowman. I think that would be a great way to go. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's just going to be a straight up DQ, and I think it's going to lead to Braun Strowman versus Shane McMahon at WrestleMania in a street fight, no holds barred, falls count anywhere. You can pick your favourite. Next is a match that I hope does not start the show, and I've got a really bad feeling it just might, but I hope it's going to be saved for later in the pay-per-view because it deserves it. Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus. These two have had some fantastic matches on Raw recently. A couple of weeks ago, had an absolute barn burner, which I think went about 25-30 minutes. It was a really good match. If you haven't seen it, go back and check it out. They had a no disqualification match a week later, which ended up with both of them not being able to answer to the count of 10. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a stipulation added to this match before the actual pay-per-view kicks off. At the time of recording, it's a straight up singles match. There's nothing more going down. I wouldn't be surprised if Last Man Standing or any of those stipulations come into play, but either way, Drew McIntyre has been announced as the guy that's going to be taking on Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania. So for that alone, I'm pretty darn sure that Drew McIntyre is not losing on this event. I do wish that there would have been, it still would have been predictable, but I do wish there to have been a number one contenders match. I think that would have made more sense going into this, but it's a straight up one-on-one match. Maybe a gimmick match will be announced later in the week, but either way, the result does stay the same. I am going here for a Drew McIntyre victory. Last but not least then, we've got the Universal Championship. We've got Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan, and at the time of recording, we don't know who the special guest enforcer will be. It'll be one of Edge or Jey Uso on SmackDown this week, but of course, we know what's going to happen. It's going to be Edge. And looking at this, I think it's going to be a great match. Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan, no strangers on FastLane. I think they've got a great match in store for us. And Daniel Bryan, he's been selfish, hasn't he? He's been putting himself first for the first time in a very, very long time. It's going to be interesting to see how the match will play out, but let's not kid ourselves. Roman Reigns is not dropping the belt here at FastLane. Roman Reigns and Edge will be in the main event of WrestleMania, but with the lovely little stipulation we've got here of the special guest enforcer, I'm hoping we're going to get newsworthy stuff in a different format, because I think WrestleMania is heading towards a triple threat match. I think Daniel Bryan, despite losing here, will find himself in the match. Now, I think it'll probably more likely be accident, but I hope it's a heel turn. I think Edge will cost Daniel Bryan hitting the spear, because if there's a ref bump, which, let's be fair, with a special guest enforcer, we expect it, I would imagine, here at the pay-per-view, Edge will insert himself into the match. I think perhaps Roman and Daniel might want Edge out of the match. I can see maybe more likely Roman getting in Edge's face, Edge going for the spear, missing Roman, hitting Daniel, but I would love it even more if Edge did it on purpose and we saw a full-fledged heel turn, because we're not getting what we want here on the road to WrestleMania. I wanted the comeback story. I wanted Edge to want to bring back the big gold belt, the World Heavyweight Championship. That's not materialized. It's not happened. We've not even really focused so much on Roman and Edge as of late. It's all been about Daniel Bryan. So I think the only logical thing here is to cost Daniel Bryan this match in an accidental form, or certainly a purposeful form, to get him out of the match in Edge's eyes, but then on SmackDown it to be made into a triple threat at WrestleMania. But one thing is for sure, whatever happens, Roman Reigns is keeping that Universal Championship. He will be winning this match at Fastlane. So that's my predictions there for you here for WWE FastLane. Let me know your predictions in the comments below. I would love to know what you think of the upcoming show this Sunday evening. If more matches are announced, don't worry, I will actually give, I'll let you know on the channel, and also I'll give my predictions for it as well, including if Drew and Sheamus do add a stipulation to their match, I'll add that video later in the week. So good excuse to subscribe, turn your notification bell on always, that way you know each and every time a video is released here on SCW. But make sure to check out my previous videos as well, including the Q&A, which is available for you now. I'll be back later in the week, and make sure to keep things SCW. Thank you to everyone that's been subscribing to the channel. Of course, surpassed 900 now. The road to 1,000 is on. Can it be done by WrestleMania? I'd love it to happen, but I need it with your support. But that's all for me. Thank you for watching. Take care. Thank you as always. Have yourselves a great day. You've been watching SCW here on YouTube.